just don't do all the structure of a 9 to 5. And I was like, okay, this looks really intriguing. So I kind of reached out to Sarah, joined her team as just like an admin, got my license, started like slinging rentals in Southie because Boston has such like a strong rental market. And then, I just kind of didn't look back. And now I've been full-time 3.5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How long did you do the admin stuff?
Not long, really just like maybe maybe not even 6 months, got my license. I was really only doing that as
To get in.
to get in.
Yeah.
My foot in the door. I mean, I would have done anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Small Town Famous. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Amanda Maselek, and she is a real estate agent in South Boston.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
So excited. So it's funny because obviously both of us are on TikTok, which is like for all of the outcasts, I feel like. Yeah. And I started watching your stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like we would really get along. And we have so many similarities. And I saw how big your husband is. And then you were talking about being an athlete. And I was like, wow, we're very similar.
Yes.
And that's just how this all came to be.
That's so funny because everyone, when they meet my husband, for everyone at home who doesn't know what he looks like, he's 6'4", 300 plus pounds. They're like, oh, he played football, right? I'm like, no, he actually played D3 lacrosse, but he was a goalie, so his size helped him in the goal.
Oh my God. Yes, my husband is also 6'4", 300 pounds, but he did play football.
Yeah. But the automatic assumption is always football.
Yeah, everybody always will be like, he must have played football. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get into it right now. Yeah, he did in college. I'm like, leave us alone. That's all right, though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But before you did real estate, you were in accounting.
Yeah. So majored in accounting at Holy Cross in Worcester, went right into audit in public, and immediately knew that was not going to be for me. But then the pandemic hit. So I graduated 2019, pandemic hits. I'm like, oh God, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Pivoted into tech sales for a year because Nate is still in tech sales. And then I met my now team lead, Sarah McGuire, through our spin studio. So I also teach fitness on the side.
Yeah.
I met Sarah McGuire. I was like, ooh, real estate looks really intriguing. It had a lot of the same skill sets as tech sales, but way more like autonomy, freedom. Like I don't do well with authority. I think I've learned. I just don't do well with the structure of a 9 to 5. And I was like, okay, this looks really intriguing. So I kind of reached out to Sarah, joined her team as just like an admin, got my license, started like slinging rentals in Southie because Boston has such like a strong rental market. And then, I just kind of didn't look back. And now I've been full-time 3.5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How long did you do the admin stuff?
Not long, really just like maybe maybe not even 6 months, got my license. I was really only doing that as
To get in.
to get in.
Yeah.
My foot in the door. I mean, I would have done anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was like, get your license. I need help with rentals. And then it kind of just, there was no like hard like start stop. It was just join the team and just go.
That's what we keep saying. I need an assistant. And I'm like, I think I want it to be an assistant who then I can have them get licensed and I'll have them take the rentals and then be like, okay,
Right.
what about all these other clients? Do you want to take care of some of them too?
Right. Exactly.
And just have them grow into the role.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
I think that's
And
you
what
have to do.
about accounting? Was it just like the 9 to 5?
Yeah. I mean, I think you literally said it in the first episode that I was just listening to. Like, you're looking at a spreadsheet all day. Like, you're not talking to anyone. Like, you have clients, you're at the client, but you really don't interact with them that much. And like, I thrive face to face with people, and I didn't thrive like sitting at a conference table staring at my Excel doc and not allowed to speak or say hi to anyone. So
Personality.
yeah, exactly. It was just wrong for a lot of reasons, but that's one of them.
Jeez. I remember, so you live in Southie, right?
Yeah.
And you own?
Yes.
How long have you owned that place?
So we actually bought a small condo in 2021, got really lucky with 2.8% interest rate. Like, we knew rates were low, but like, we were like 24 at the time. Like, we had nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we bought when we did, because we just looked out. But bought a small condo, and then a listing came on down the street that's like a small single family. And if you're not familiar with the city, obviously single family homes are not as typical.
Yeah.
And we had no plans to leave the condo. But we were like, this feels like a really good deal. So kind of made a leap of faith and offered on the single family, ended up getting it, and now we rent out the condo to tenants.
So cool. Where's the single family?
Right down the street. So they're both in Southie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I lived in Southie the year after college. So I graduated from UConn, and 3 of my girlfriends were a year older than me in my sorority. And so they had already been working for a year, and they all wanted to move to Boston. I was like, wait. I want to do that. I don't want to go back to New Hampshire.
Yes.
And so I asked them, could we find a 4-bedroom, which really don't exist in Southie. And so we went and saw maybe
They
like
do
5
now.
places.
They do now, because landlords are creating better.
What I did, yes, I lived in a walk-in closet. I did. It was a walk-in closet right when you walked in the front door. I remember $500 a month.
Oh, you were paying $500?
The most that anyone paid was $725. So it was $2,500 divided by 4 but we did it based on room size.
And now 2,500 gets you a shitty one bed.
Yeah, it was, but it was not great. It was on East 5th.
Oh my God. Where?
It's dark green, and it was right on the corner of East 5th and J Street, which is Jay.
I was about to say, because there's no actual not J Street. Oh my God. I'm trying to think.
Backs up to that school. I was on what? East.
Do you remember what letters you were in between?
L and, H-I and K.
I and K.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, because that's where J goes. It is actually.
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
That's not far from me at all.
Okay. So yeah, we had a washer dryer that were in the kitchen.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And when you put things in the dryer, you had to be really careful about smoothing it out and having it even, because when you didn't, it would hop into the middle of the kitchen. So we would be like standing at the stove cooking with our butt like pushing back the dryer.
That's hilarious.
Day in place. But whatever, it was only $500 a month.
Oh my God, that's awesome. And what year was that?
2011. And that was before Uber.
Oh yeah.
And all that. So we would have to go stand at the cab stand, which is at the now Starbucks.
Right.
And wait for a cab, like in our little, tube starts or whatever you call it, and like the tank top. Yeah, we'd have to wait to go to the
partner to be buyer. Southie, 2011.
That was when there was like Whiskey Priest and Atlantic Beer Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my I call them my bosses, but you know what I mean? Like my team leads, like that's when they first moved to Southie as well. Like half of my team used to live in Southie back in the day. Yeah. And they always talk about Whiskey Priest.
Yeah, it was so fun.
The beer garden and like all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, if it was there, people probably wouldn't even go because it was gross. But like at the time, it was the prime place.
Well, Whiskey Priest was where Seaport is now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It got bulldozed. It was just parking lot. I used to work in the ID center. Do you know where that is? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I would walk there to work and back every day. It was so nice. Oh my God. Just like living the life.
And that was your accounting job?
Pre-dependence. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But so then when Kendall and I, my husband and I, when we moved to San Diego, I was like, my heart belonged back in Southie. And I wanted so bad to get a place there or even rent in the off season. But we ended up putting in an offer on, it was 1 H Street place. And I think it was listed for $500.
Oh my God, I know.
A single family house. Okay. Yeah. And we put in an offer.
We could have been neighbors. I lived at 50H.
And right after we put in the offer, Kendall was like, I can't do this. Like, we can't buy this place. I was bawling my eyes out. But he's like, Kristen, he had just bought literally a monster truck, like typical NFL guy that's pissing contest who has the biggest truck. He had the most enormous truck with the biggest wheels. And he's like, I can't park this in this. I can't even get down the road. He's like, this isn't practical, whatever. But I wanted it so bad. And now I think it's probably worth like 1.2. I don't even know. Single family with a view of Seaport.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Torture. That's my gosh. You live, you learn. You said we bought a log cabin in New Hampshire.
Well, at least you bought something, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're with Compass, is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
How has your experience been there?
It's good. So it's a little different than being a solo agent at Compass because I am on a team. So while we're supported by Compass, like we kind of run a pretty insulated team. There's 8 of us total, 2 team leads, 4 agents under them, full-time operations director, and part-time marketing support. So we're kind of like pretty self-sufficient in that way. But I've liked Compass. I think the technology is obviously like one of the biggest draws. I also have I have nothing to compare it to.
Right, yeah.
So like when I joined, I was at Compass.
Yeah.
I think if I ever left, the technology would be like, I would really miss it. Like I literally don't even know how to set up a client search on the MLS because we have the Compass collection.
Oh my God, which everyone apparently raves about. Their clients that you had referred up here.
I know.
So they're like, Kristen, instead of the MLS search, could you put us on the Compass app? I'm like, I'm not with Compass. Yeah. I can't do that.
You're like, I hate to break this to you.
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it's great tech. And then you're with a team. So what is the structure as far as, do you have like team meetings every week or what does that look like?
Exactly.
In the office?
So the Compass office that we're affiliated with is Back Bay, but as I'm sure you can imagine, going to Newbury Street isn't very efficient or easy to park. So we honestly don't go into that office very much unless there's like a massive Compass sales meeting that we need to go to. We have a team office in South Boston right on D Street. If you know where the Burger King is, it's diagonal from the Burger King. And we do team meetings once a week. And then our team chat, like basically our team group chat is always like lighting up. Like we're just like constantly in constant communication with each other, for better or for worse. But like our team is like super, super tight knit. So if anyone ever needs anything, it's, oh, like I have this coming on. Does anyone have anything? Oh, I'm having an issue with this agent. Does anyone know them? Like yada, yada, yada. We're very, very tight. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's an awesome atmosphere to be working.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for someone like, it seems like you really like having a strong community around you and being able to show your personality and stuff. So it's nice to be able to have that.
Especially like coming from like a sports background, I'm sure, you know, like as much as real estate is really a solo sport, like it's like every man for himself. It's like nice to have the fallback of the camaraderie and like people to vent to who get it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But
I get it. And then do you do a lot of business right in the city or around? Or
yeah, majority in Boston proper. I would say like the meat and potatoes of our business is South Boston, Dorchester, but we'll really go anywhere for our clients, like Beacon Hill, like Medford. I've sold something in Duxbury on the South Shore, but I would say I enjoy doing business the most in South Boston. So as I like grow my business, I'm like trying to double down on that and really carve out like a niche in the Southie Dorchester market.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of friends in town in Wyndham that have places in Southie that have owned them since 1990.
Oh my God,
95. And they rent them out.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of my girlfriends that I went to UConn with that are my age, they bought in like 2015, 2017, and they rent them out as well. It just makes sense because they make so much money right now.
And we have a lot of clients like that who will buy their starter. Did they live in them to begin with? Yeah. Like they'll live in them. And obviously like the natural progression is most people move to the burbs when their kids reach school age. And so we'll handle their rental and help them buy. So it's funny. I'm sure like this is such a different market. Like a lot of agents like don't do rentals, but we like really pride ourselves on doing both and being able to like help our clients, whether it's just renting out their condo and finding tenants or finding them somewhere to live. So
yeah. Our team never really did rentals just because there aren't any up here.
Right. So different.
And so it was never any sort of focus. But now we have a lot of people who bought and they're locked in at such a low interest rate that why would it make sense to sell it?
Right.
So they're renting them out. So now Kendall and I were just talking the other day about how we probably need to hire someone specifically for rentals because there's a lot now. We just had a few last month. Like we have 4 coming on next week that we've never had rentals like that.
Right.
But it makes sense if it makes sense, right?
Totally. I mean, yeah, if you have a 2.8% rate, it's like you're going to be cash flowing that all day. And then you can apply that to your next mortgage and take this thing out of that.
And then, so in Boston, just as far as the different neighborhoods and stuff, what do you find people are looking for right now in general? Say, are there certain neighborhoods that have been really hot in the last couple of years or places where people are trying not to so much buy there?
Interesting question. I mean, as I'm sure you know, Southie continues to go up in popularity. Like it's not slowing down at all. That's still, I would say, the hottest market for like post-college and even into your 30s. A lot of people still want Southie. I think there's a lot of bleed from Southie to Dorchester. You can get a lot more for your dollar in Dorchester and it's not super far from Southie. East Boston, for context, I've been in the city for 5 years, or almost 6 now. In all 6 of those years, I've lived in Southie. East Boston, even since I've been in the city, has, I think, boosted in popularity. I feel like it used to be like, oh my God, you live in Eastie? Like, why would you live over there? It's so like on its own little island. But like the amount of new construction in Eastie is ridiculous. If you go on the MLS right now, almost every single condo listing in Eastie is new construction. So Eastie is where Southie was like, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a client who's building a 3-family right now in Everett. Does that count as Eastie?
No, Everett's its own city. Everett's a full city. No, you're good.
We only go down the 93. Yeah. The only time I go left of the 93 or west or whatever, what is that? East of the 93 is if the tunnel to the airport is closed.
Yeah, I get it.
Otherwise, this just seems to be these islands over to the left. I don't know.
It's true.
There.
And then there's Winthrop, basically like in the ocean past ED.
No idea. Yeah. And then as far as the community of agents in Boston, are there, is it super competitive? Are there people that are supportive of each other's businesses? How do you find it?
Definitely both. I mean, as I'm sure you know, like this business can get like pretty territorial. And especially in a micro market like Southie, like all the agents know everyone. And it can get competitive in terms of, oh, if so-and-so bought with so-and-so, but then they listed it with so-and-so, like people are going to notice. Yeah. You know what I mean? But for the most part, like we don't have a problem. I think we try to be really collaborative with other agents because at the end of the day, that's the only way you get business done, right?
Yeah.
So, you try to play nice and like what goes around comes around, but we try to I feel like for the most part, we have a really good relationship with everyone in town.
Yeah, that's so important. I feel like having the one up of when someone has something that's coming on soon and they'll text you ahead of time and be like, hey, I have one Main Street coming on. I'm like, thank you for letting me know.
Exactly. And you're only doing yourself a disservice down the road if you're like are burning a bridge. So
Yeah.
and not only yourself a disservice, but your clients a disservice. So
Right.
at the same time, like you always have to go to bat for your clients. But
Yeah, you're going to negotiate
Yeah.
everything for them. But I mean, it's just nice to have relationships with people, especially because, like you said before, you kind of feel like you're on an island. And so it's helpful to have people just to collaborate with on things and
yeah,
ask, about their situations that they've gone through so that you can better guide your own clients.
right.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then, so for your clients, you said a lot of them are moving out to the suburbs. What towns have you found that a lot of them are migrating towards?
That's a good question. I mean, like kind of all over. It's funny because everyone still wants to be in striking distance of Boston. I feel like I don't have a ton of clients like heading up way north towards like New Hampshire just yet, but it's so brutal because, as you know, like the burbs have not slowed down since COVID. Like it's tough. So it's like, oh, we want to be within 30 minutes of Boston, but we don't want to pay more than,
700.
Yeah, 700, 800. And well, let's adjust expectations. But I mean, what towns are we heading to? Like I've sold in Medford recently, like the Woburn, like Reading, Beverly areas. I mean, kind of all over. There's not like one hot pocket where I feel like everyone's heading towards. South Shore, I feel like a lot of people are heading towards like Braintree, Weymouth to kind of still be
commutable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my friends from Boston moved to Hingham and Sharon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Marshfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't, I think they go in maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but not every day. That's not really you can't really do that every day.
South Shore traffic is nuts. Actually, just this morning. So I teach fitness on the side once or twice a week. And the girl who was teaching the spring class after me was coming from Weymouth, and she was teaching the 8 a.m. and she left her house at 6:15. And she barely made it to the 8 a.m. And she was like, it's never that bad. And I'm like, geez, Weymouth took you almost 2 hours.
Oh, God.
South Shore's no joke.
That sounds awful.
That's no joke.
Yeah, whenever I have to, some of my girlfriends live down in Attleboro, and whenever I go that way, it typically takes me through the city rather than the 95 cross. I'm like, I can't even tell you how long it's going to take till I get to the Braintree split, whatever. It's 50-50 if I'm going to be stopped for an hour.
Right. Literally.
Yeah.
I just mute this so it doesn't buzz.
Oh, yeah. No problem.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that's really exciting. Did you know when you were graduating from Holy Cross that you wanted to live in Boston?
By the time I graduated, yeah, so it's funny. So because I was an accounting major, they like shuffle you through the accounting and intern programs with the big four firms. So I interned in New York at RSM going into senior year. So the plan was to move to New York post-college. It's like hilarious looking back now because I love Boston. But at the time I was like, well, I'm going to move to a city. I'm going to do the biggest city, like yada, 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 which is like hilarious. And I think interning in the summer, that's the worst season to be there in New York because New York's just like nasty in the summer.
And desolate. No one's there.
Exactly. It's just, you're so sweaty. Like it's awful. And then my intern friend asked the company to place her in the Boston office. And I was like, I don't know what came over me, but I was like, that sounds fun. Like, why don't I just switch to Boston? And it ended up working out for the better because I ended up meeting my husband at the tail end of college. And he was going to be moving to Boston too.
Oh my gosh.
So it just worked out that I had made that switch. So yes and no.
Did you guys move there together?
Not our first place. We moved in with roommates out of college. So I was in Southie with a girlfriend from college, and he was in, it's so funny saying Back Bay because that sounds so bougie, but he was in like the shittiest Back Bay apartment, like 4th floor walk up. And then after our first year, we found a place in Southie together and rented for a year. And then we bought our condo.
And are you from Mass?
No, I'm from Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You even have an accent.
I know everyone says that, but Durham is kind of like part of the triangle with Raleigh, Chapel Hill. So it's like a lot of transplants.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't really get a lot of accents in that part.
How did your parents feel when you were like, I'm moving in with my boyfriend?
Yeah, they literally don't care. It's so funny. There are transplants too. My mom's from Keene, New Hampshire.
Oh,
so I have some New Hampshire ties.
Funny.
Yeah.
Way out west.
Yeah. And then my dad's from Oklahoma. So I think growing up, again, also a lot of people in that area are transplants because they work at the universities. So like they move to work for Duke, they move to work for UNC. And the vibe was never, I think it was always assumed that I wasn't going to stay. And my brother didn't stay either. He's in the Denver area. So I don't think they were surprised that I didn't stay. And they could have cared less that I was like moving with my boyfriend. Yeah.
I remember when I called my dad to tell him that I was going to be moving to San Diego when Kendall got drafted. And I was like in the car calling him and I was so nervous. I was like shaking. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? I'm like, I think that I do. Yeah. I was like, all right. I was so scared.
I mean, imagine turning that down.
I know. Well, Kendall and I you might have heard it on our podcast, but we had said if he got drafted anywhere on the East Coast, that I would just stay in Boston because I liked my job and I loved my roommates and where I lived and stuff. And I'm like, we'll just figure it out. If I have to fly to Baltimore every weekend or whatever, that's fine.
Right.
But then he was drafted like the furthest possible place in the world from or an NFL team.
How long did you get to live in San Diego? That's a good
4 years.
Oh, that's so nice.
That was so nice. I know. I literally look at real estate in San Diego like once a week. Every time it snows, I'm like, oh.
Literally, my boss Matt says the same thing. He's like always threatening to move to San Diego. I'm like, you would never. It's so tough because like I would get up and move tomorrow and try something new, but in our business, you just can't. Like you would be starting over.
Yeah,
I mean, you could if you were sure that you were going to be.
Yeah, you just
planting roots, but no one wants to start. Well, over.
And like we have free kid and like rentals, just a lot of things that depend on us.
Totally.
Yeah. But I'm like, I mean, if say our house is worth like $1 million, just to be even numbers, and then what could I afford in San Diego for $1 million is just like a 2-bedroom single story, go home with no garage. So I don't think anything gonna happen.
We think Boston's pricey, but San Diego's right up there with it.
I know. Have you guys traveled a lot?
Yeah, so we visited San Diego, actually, speaking of, twice with Nate's high school friends for a week in 2020. Not mid-pandemic, because that would be bad, but like when people were like, didn't have anywhere to be. And then 2021, the same friend group went back to San Diego, so that was awesome. And then speaking of traveling, I'm actually tagging along his work trip to Dublin next weekend.
Oh my God,
so that'll be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long is it for? Just the weekend?
He's there for a week, and then I'm just like joining him for the long weekend. So we're going to do Dublin and Galway.
So cool.
Yeah.
Will you have time off?
Will he have time off?
To go?
Yeah, so he's going to finish his work stuff, and then by the time
at the end.
By the time I get there, we're just going to, he'll be done with his like obligations. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
With the market like in Boston and everything, do you see it changing at any point soon, or do you think that you're going to just that prices will just keep increasing? And do you see a lot of new construction?
Yeah. I mean, like, there is a lot of new construction, but the city of Boston is like notoriously hard to build in. It's just like incredibly hard to get zoning approved and to get permits, unfortunately. And like, I think that's the only path out of prices astronomically rising is more supply, as I'm sure you know. So they're like, developers are trying, but like that combined with, restrictions on affordable housing. And if you build more than 10 units, like a certain percentage has to be under market rate affordable units. It's just tough. So like they're trying to keep up, but I don't see prices slowing down, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the city of Boston. There's only so many more places you can build.
Yeah. Right. That's what I mean. Our area, Southern New Hampshire's, people still consider it to be somewhat commutable.
Right.
Ideally, you're not going into the city every day because like my dad goes in the city every day from Atkinson, which is 2 towns over the border. And he's leaving at 5 in the morning to get to work, and then works till 7 p.m. before he comes home because that traffic can be absolutely brutal. And there is public transportation, but not enough and not nearly as accessible as it needs to be. But so we've seen just an absolute explosion here, especially when COVID happened.
Yeah.
Obviously, people were willing to commute further than ever before.
People wanted space.
Yeah, and there is new construction, but the new construction is so expensive right now. You really can't. Even a small single family is going to cost at least like $700,000-$900,000.
Right.
And so that doesn't really help anybody.
Right.
Below, say you're pre-approved $750,000. That's maybe a new construction, but we would need so much more inventory for a balanced market.
Exactly. And that's what at Accelerate, what one of Sean's speakers was saying is like he laid out the numbers and he was like, this is how many home buyers in Gen Z and Gen Alpha. But he was like projecting like the next like 10, 20 years. And it's like, this is how many home buyers are about to become of age. And this is how many homes are being built. And we are in a drastic deficit. There's just not enough inventory. So I'm sure you've seen all the trolls on TikTok and whatnot. And we're like, it's the worst time to buy. Prices are so high. I'm like, yeah, prices are high in relation to where they've been, not in relation to where they're going. So it's like, either get in or don't. But
pretty much every video I feel like that you or I post, someone literally like, people are stupid to buy right now. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
You probably rent.
Right. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. If you told me that I was stupid to buy in 2019, I wouldn't be sitting on, $500,000 of equity in my prices are going to go up.
So. I know.
Yeah. What else were the biggest takeaways from the Accelerate last week?
That was like one of the biggest ones. I think Sean does a really good job and his speakers do a really good job. Barry Habib is one of them. And then Glenda Baker, the Tarmac star. I know.
There's so much that I made it to that event.
I know. It was good. But they do a really good job of laying out the numbers in like ways that we can simply communicate them to our clients and get them to see It's not, it doesn't need to be this like complicated process of, oh, do I buy, do I rent, do I do this? It's, here are the numbers. If you get it now, even when interest rates are high, like you're going to be thanking yourself in 5 years. So I think they create really good messaging that's easy to pass on to our clients. And
and I mean, it's not like we're making this stuff up.
Right.
If I knew that, you know, interest rates were going to go down to 3% in July this year and that there were going to be 1 million more units on the market in New England, then I wouldn't tell my clients to buy right now.
Right.
But there's nothing showing us that it's going to improve whatsoever.
Right. And it's also like, we can't be so focused on the short term when real estate is such a long-term game.
Yeah.
I don't really care if prices go down next year because they're going to rebound and go up. And I'm not going to sell in 2 years. I'm going to hold this for 5, 10, 15 years. So zoom out and take a picture of like long-term and you're going to be fine. Stop overthinking it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have, so one common thing that we have when people sell in Massachusetts and they buy in New Hampshire, this is kind of technical, but in Mass, you guys have the seller covers the transfer tax.
Mm-hmm.
And in New Hampshire, the buyer and seller split it.
Really?
Way more. It's $7.50 per thousand each. So for someone who's
$7.50 each? So a total of 15?
Yeah.
And what's ours, like 4 something?
$4.50.
I was about to say.
Yeah. So if you're selling in Mass for say $1 million, buy in New Hampshire for $1 million, you're paying like $12,000 in transfer tax.
Woof.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest conversations that I have to have with people who are considering selling in Mass and then either buying North Shore or buying Southern New Hampshire. I'm like,
right. Something to think about.
Property taxes are a little bit higher here and you have to pay the transfer tax.
Right. And this is why you work with a hyper local agent who knows what they're talking about, because see, I wouldn't have known that because I don't do business in New Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm licensed in Mass, but anytime that anybody says they have something anywhere near the city, I'm like, nope, I'm going to refer it.
Right.
Because I have the capability of putting it on the market and negotiating it, but I'm not an expert in the market by any means. I can't.
Exactly.
It's not something I have time to look into.
Exactly. You know? If only every agent had that mindset of putting the client first.
In general, do people in your office ever talk about clients like moving to New Hampshire? I know like everyone thinks when you come over the border, it's like Amish people, dirt roads. No one.
Yeah, I have in-laws in Salem.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I mean, to be really honest, we haven't had a lot of clients jump the border yet.
Mm-hmm. What about to the Cape? Because that's kind of similar.
Yeah, not so much for primary homes. Mm-hmm. That would definitely be something we referred out also. But yeah, definitely obviously for second homes. But my clients are not in the position yet to be buying a second home on the Cape, unfortunately. Maybe all right. But yeah, I mean, we try to keep it in the city or within 20, 30 minutes of the city. Yeah. Like you said, or we're referring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to big agent events in Boston? Like I a couple of years ago, I went to the St. Regis opening when they first were selling them out.
Oh yeah.
Like stuff like that. Do they have like events where they'll invite a ton of agents around just to get buzz out?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like I don't make it a priority to go to those things.
It's not really a money-making activity.
Exactly. And that's kind of my mindset on it. Like those are great. And like having a strong network of like fellow agents is great, but I'm not like transacting in full service buildings like those a lot. You know what I'm saying? So like I try to focus and put my like time and money and resources into like client facing things versus like other agent facing things. Again, there's nothing wrong with going to those like once in a while, but it's probably not, in my humble opinion, it's like not the best use of my time.
Yeah, absolutely. And are there luxury buildings in Southie now?
There's a few. You're going to get that closer to the West Broadway T. Like Port 45 is on West 3rd. That's like a concierge building. The McAllen right near the T. The Allele. Various levels of service. Some have concierges, some don't, but they're like, you know what I'm saying, have like more like amenity style buildings. But there aren't a ton in Southie.
Not really the demographic.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like people who are living in Southie, they're kind of no frills. Like they're not trying to pay like a $1,500 condo fee to have a concierge. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're like, sure. They're like, I just need a garage parking spot and I'm happy.
Exactly. And then what new restaurants and stuff are there?
Oh my God, there's like new stuff all the time. So do you know Fox and the Knife?
No.
So that's like an upscale Italian place right near the Broadway T, but that same chef, I'm going to butcher her last name, but Karen, I don't even know what it is. Something Wicks. It has like Wicks at the end. She just opened Bar Volpe, which is right down the street. So those are really good. My favorite Southie restaurant, which is I feel like flies under the radar, is Moonshine 152. Okay. Also right near the Broadway T stop.
What kind of food?
It's like Asian American fusion.
Ooh, yeah.
Amazing food, really low-key vibe. And the chef, her name's Asia May, she comes to every single table every single night. Yeah, she's like good people. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I always have to plug Moonshine because I feel like it doesn't get enough hype. I feel like, but also it's like maybe I want to keep it a secret so it's not slammed all the time.
Yeah.
It is slammed,
Put your name on some sort of list so that if it's all packed, you still can get in.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I was there was not great food options at all.
Really?
There's all like bar food. There was that late night place. I don't know if it still exists. The place that's Leech.
Oh my God, Lee Chen's.
Yeah. It was
No, it finally closed.
It deserved to close.
Did you see that viral video probably like 5 years ago of like the fight? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be something gross.
It was like, no, it wasn't gross. It wasn't about the food. It was just like these two like very massholes like going at it with each other, like verbally in Lee Chen's.
Oh my God. I can't. Yeah, we used to go to like Stats a lot. And then,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, other than that, what was the other one? The Playwright? Is that still there?
So Playwright is still there. They knocked down that building and pretty much erected a massive, bigger Playwright with apartments above it. So that just reopened like 6 months ago.
Okay.
So it's constantly, the landscape is changing.
Yeah. I'm surprised that down near, what's the castle called? The
Castle
fort?
Island, yeah.
Yeah, Castle Island. I'm surprised that down there's not more restaurants and stuff just because it's waterfront.
I know.
It's really pretty.
I say this to myself all the time. Like, obviously, there's like zoning restrictions like that's like all residential, which like is annoying. But like, how cool would it be to have a waterfront restaurant in Southie? We need that.
Yeah. You could have alfresco dining right on that green right there. I know. It's so nice. And there's that, I mean, it's probably like a national landmark at this point, but the place where you can get hot dogs on Castle Island.
Yeah, Sullivan's.
Yes.
Yeah. So good.
But could have something a little.
It would be so cool. I don't know. Bring the San Diego vibes to Southie. Yeah. Like, we have this great waterfront. Let's get some waterfront dining.
Do something.
I know. Yeah.
Nice. What other things do you have coming up or going on? Anything exciting?
I mean, I feel like 2025 is already so busy. It's so true. I think everyone's, classic realtor saying the spring market's going to be busy, but it really is. Open houses are already like slammed again. And I think as soon as like the clock strikes midnight on January 1st, it's like buyers come out of the woodwork. So yeah, just like busy in general for business. We're almost sold out of our new construction building in Southie. This is another great like Southie conversation, but Andrew Square.
Yeah.
Do you remember where that is?
Yeah.
So Andrew Square is kind of like the last corner of Southie that's like unturned, if you will. And we have a new construction building there, 44 Ellery Street, 18 units, and we only have 3 left. So that is good.
What's the price point on them?
The price point, 2 bedrooms started at $699 there, and then the penthouses go up to $135.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty wide range of price point there. Oh, sorry, we had 1 beds as well that were. The 1 bed started at $580.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's, I don't know if you're familiar with the new Dorchester Avenue development. So Core Investments is redeveloping 20 acres of Dorchester Avenue. So kind of where the trains come in, there's like nothing there.
Yeah.
It's like blank like shipyard and like industrial space. And that's going to be 12 new buildings, mix of commercial retail, residential, rentals, condos. They haven't broken ground yet, but they did already get the green light for phase 1 from the city. So that is in the works.
It's huge.
So it's really going to, again, the Southie's always changing. The landscape's always changing. So it's really going to connect like Broadway T. If you follow Dorchester Ave down towards Andrew Square, that's where it is.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. So going towards UMass Boston.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then UMass Boston also has a huge development coming on the old like Bayside Expo site.
Yep.
That's probably a little further out, but they've already gotten approval on that as well. So the JFK UMass vicinity of Dorchester is also going to change a lot. Do you know where Morrissey Boulevard hits that rotary?
Yes.
Like the rotary of death?
Well, there's the Boston Globe building, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Over there?
Yeah. Like that whole area.
So cool. That's where I took my accounting classes. So I graduated from UConn with a German and economics major, double major. And then when I started working as a bookkeeper at the dentist's office, or in a dentist's office, it was like a place that sells teeth whitening kits. Then I was taking night classes at UMass Boston. So I'd run in a little loop over there from Southie.
Yes.
Oh, it was like my dream.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
The good old days.
I know. Seriously. Now I'm here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
3 kids.
And you guys are from New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we moved into the town in between where both of our parents live. So it's really, really helpful with that. Okay. Yeah. Neither of us thought we would ever live back in New Hampshire, but having help with family, especially when we don't have a 9 to 5, we have a job that, Yesterday I called my mom, like, can you be at the bus at 3:30 today and then get Kyla to gymnastics for 4:10?
Right.
Who else am I going to call to do that stuff?
Exactly. I mean, like, our schedules are constantly changing by the minute. So it's like having last minute coverage that's got to be so nice.
Yeah.
I don't have kids yet, but I can imagine
it's a lot.
A luxury.
It's fun, but it's a lot. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know.
I was just telling him my schedule for this weekend. So we have a huge condo complex that's launching next week. It's
London Crossing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
See, your marketing working.
Yeah, right. It's on the border of Manchester and London area. So it's 42 condos.
Wow.
And we're trying to figure out, like, we're a week out and we're just trying to logistically figure out, like, we have us 2 lead agents and then we have another agent, Janelle. We're trying to get a 4th agent right now, but we really need one person to commit to what day of the week they're going to go for a year.
Right.
So long.
It is quite the undertaking.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, oh my God, Kendall, on Saturday we have basketball game at 10. We have a gymnastics meet at 12. We have a parkour thing at 2:30. And then we have a birthday party for one of the kids. And then the same thing Sunday.
Yep.
And I'm like, what things are we giving up
Yep.
being at in order to be at London Crossing? So Kendall is more of the default for London Crossing, where I would rather be at the kids stuff than be getting new business at London Crossing. Someone else can handle that because I can't. It really eats at me.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, even if I miss half a basketball game, I'm like, this is what I wanted.
Right.
Why am I not there?
I know. It's like quite the balancing act. It's like a double-edged sword, right? Like real estate, you do have the flexibility, but at the same time you don't, because when your client says, I need to see XYZ at 5 p.m., like, you got to show it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People all the time will be like, oh, real estate seems fun. You can kind of like make your own hours.
Not the word I would use.
I'm like, instead of one boss, like a normal person has, we have 40 little bosses.
Yeah, that's so
boss
true.
us around all day.
That's so true. I need to start using that line.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're supposed to be able to, set boundaries and stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to be available in order, especially in a market where things move so quickly. If I can't get you in the first weekend, chances are you're missing out on it.
Right.
And it's my fault.
Right.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Ugh.
Gets tricky.
If we can only like multiply ourselves and be in 10 places at once.
No, we need one of, did you ever read Harry Potter? No. I'm like Erluda's like a time turner. Or she can go back in time on her necklace.
Especially with I need 3 kids' sports schedules. I can't even imagine.
Crazy.
That's
I know.
nuts.
I know. And the oldest one she's super athletic. The middle one is in a couple sports. The youngest is only in one right now.
What are the ages again?
9, 6, 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're just really in the thick of it right now.
Right.
Like, Kyla, how many years till you get your license?
You're right. I know. Oh my God.
It's
too many. It's too many. What's her like sport of choice, you think?
Basketball.
That's awesome.
She's tall. She's 5'1".
Wow.
She's 9. And she's tall. And then she does gymnastics. She loves gymnastics. So we'll see.
Cool.
Whatever. I'm like, do what you want. Right. I swam, obviously. And once I got to college, I swam my freshman year. And then I was like, I just don't love this anymore. Yeah. I was so sick of it because I had done it for so long, since I was 8.
I get it.
Competitively since 8. And so I'm like, whatever. You decide every season what you want to play. I don't want to force you into anything.
Exactly.
If you sign up, you're doing it. You're not backing out.
Right. There has to be like some accountability. But yeah, the last thing a kid needs is like their parent like shoving it down their throats. Like when they have a competitive mindset, they're going to put pressure on themselves. Like we don't need to put more.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I know. But all right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.